Hey y'all, I finished book 2 of The Remaining Aftermath by DJ Molles. Definitely in book 2 you get to experience panic. It reiterates in times of crisis or pandemics, stay out of hospitals and churches because that's where most people go. We've met several people in this one. I've decided really don't like Milo. He's a dick. Big time. And Lee is finding that nothing ever goes according to plan. So why plan? He's becoming pretty helter-skelter. There's a scene in a hospital. That's why I say hospitals are bad. Too many exits and entrances to cover. And he literally, to repel, wraps a rope around his arm and jumps backwards down 3 stories. The only thing stopping him is the rope and the ground. So, it is definitely, usually by book 2 in a series, I'm like, okay, this one here is not going to be so good, or there's always one book in a series that you're like, oh, this is such a hard book to read, or maybe it's just me. And I haven't found it yet. I've read this whole series a few times. I did get book 7 on Kindle. That's the other reason why I'm reading these, is so that I can refresh myself with Lee, so that when I read book 7 after book 6, I can be caught up. Let's just say Lee has no regard for his body. He literally starts book 2 with stitches from his shoulder to his foot down his back. Some of you may or may not have already read book 1. There's a scene where he can't get plywood off of a window, so he pushes it open and crawls out, and the nails stick into his back and leaves big old scrapes. Some of them need stitches. So he's tough. He's really tough. He in book 2 you get to explore the intricacies of drama. Like, what would you do in a situation where you didn't have a choice? Would you do the right thing? Would you do what the bad guy wants you to do? Or would you do your own thing? Also, at the end of book 2, there's, if you buy the books, there's extras, little stories. But the end of book 2, the last chapter in book 2, you meet 2 characters, well, 1 character because the other character dies, 2 characters from further north, where they'd already built a compound to reiterate, to rebuild society. And up there, apparently, the Fury-infected people are very different. Now, in this book, this is where you find out if you're in the city and there's Fury-infected people, you don't go out during the day. In book 1, if you're in the country and there's Fury-infected people, you don't go out at night. The beginning of book 3, which is what I'm starting, it's called Refugees. That's book 3. But we're at the beginning of book 3, a few months have passed. The beginning of book 2 is basically like book 1 and 2 happen within 2 weeks of each other. Book 3 starts a couple of months later because all of this started at the beginning of summer, and book 3 starts at the beginning of autumn. I do highly recommend you get your, read these series because they're really, really intense. And the intensity is palpable. You can feel it. Like, seriously, after reading book 2 for at least 2 weeks, I'm going to be checking all my entrances and exits to make sure I can, everywhere I go, like, it's weird. Because by the end of book 2, you've suddenly developed this need to be hyper vigilant, and you're not understanding why. It's because, I mean, it's always nice to know where your entrances and exits are, but we don't think about this stuff on a regular basis. We just go in, do our business, come out. Well, when you're in a situation like Lee's in, like the hospital, literally the hospital, they have to have the emergency generator running to keep the doors closed so the Fury infected can't get into the hospital. Okay? So you don't think about those things. And now he brings to light certain things when you're like, well, that's a bad place to be when crap hits. But I do highly recommend The Remaining Aftermath by DJ Molles. It is a wonderful continuation of the story. I am seriously, like, when I'm reading now, I'm looking for the one book that I have trouble reading or staying attached to. So when I find it, I will let you guys know. So I hope you pick up The Remaining Aftermath. That's book 2 of the remaining series by DJ Molles. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.